All right, welcome everybody to episode 8.
7,
8,
8.
12,
15.
8.
6. We're on episode 6. Don't listen to them.
Sure, okay.
He can't
Episode
math.
6 of
Seven's
Anime
like
Talk
number.
Radio. I am one of your hosts, the Ed Boy. Here to my right is the Forest.
You mean Eric? He's to your right.
He is also to my right, but you're directly to my right. So there's the Forest, and obviously the Eric.
We.
Hi.
We.
Exactly. And so this week we're going to talk a little bit about gacha games and stuff like that, and they're kind of, I guess, their impact on the anime community and all that whatnot, and how a lot of companies are also relying on them to help promote their own animes and get a little extra from the series that they own. And then after that we'll go into some other stuff. But
Yeah. I found it pretty interesting how there's like this heavy swing for, I guess, trying to get support via gacha games. It's like the OG ones I can remember would probably be like the Fate one,
Yep.
the B2 one, which was in competition with that one.
Mhm.
I think maybe the Psycho Pass one was around like the same time, right?
probably.
And then obviously like Fire Emblem and a couple
Yeah,
others.
a few
And
others.
then like it seemed like a couple companies saw like success that they were getting both domestically and internationally, and they're like, maybe we can milk them as well. And now we got the Uma Musume one coming out.
Overlord.
I think Overlord is going to be a gacha game. We don't know
Yeah,
for
I'm
sure,
pretty
but
sure.
I'm
It's-
like 99% sure
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
going to be. Then we got Brave Frontier. We got Grand Blue Fantasy. I think it's what it's
Yes,
called.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy.
Okay. Currently, we're all addicted to Azure Lane, which
Yes.
it's basically Ken Cole, but a little bit more forgiving and cuter girls, in my opinion.
Contact Collection's another gacha game, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Japan.
I got you a game where you could potentially lose the girls you have.
Yes, I know.
Ooh,
That shit was tilting.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's a
It's
big.
not worth it.
It's a big spook.
I'm gonna pay $10 and then lose it all.
Yeah. Then I got another one. We got the Danmachi one and
Yes.
a couple other random games. I don't know, I found it kind of interesting how there was like the we should follow the trend and abuse the fans.
Well, I wonder if it's like if it came before or after the loot box trend came. Because this
Well-
almost feels like loot boxes.
Well, the
but
thing is,
for-
they've done that for ages. I mean, the entire idea of of a gachapon is something that's been huge in Japan, just because they're crazy gamblers.
Same.
Like those gachapon games, pachinko machines. I mean,
Yeah.
horse racing in general. I mean, to be older. But I mean, the
This-
idea of gambling is something that's just super big in
This
Japan.
isn't gambling.
That's exactly what it is. But
Yeah, it's 100% gambling.
yeah, but and so that's something that's super big. So the idea of just making that into a mobile game it pays for itself and those kind of
You
transactions.
make a
and,
JPEG that can float around, and here's some money.
No, it's a PNG, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Game design, get it right.
Yeah, totally different.
Same thing, same thing. But yeah, so that's one of those things. So if anything, it would be probably the opposite, where the trend of loot boxes saw probably what games like that does.
Yeah.
and then also copies it over for that as well.
Probably. I don't know. We'd have to look into the specific of history, seeing as to when exactly
When.
gambling was taking. Because I can remember probably the references to like early, like maybe 1940s, maybe earlier than
Well-
that, where America was also going through some gambling.
Oh, gambling's always existed. It's almost always existed. But I mean more like in the digital frontier of things,
Right.
especially in gaming, is more that.
But then again,
reference.
even though like using the digital frontier, like even though it's been like what 40, 30 years or so, like in that time, it's gone through maybe like a century's worth of
Yeah.
content.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
a lot of
them.
stuff. A lot of stuff's changed. But it's interesting to see that big boom though in gacha games. I mean, it started out. I don't even know probably when it started. I don't even know what you would consider to be the first ones. I mean, I know the first big ones I heard just because of the series I'm obsessed with, like Fate Grand Order and stuff like that.
I think the first one I started with was like Brave Frontier, and that was way before that. But that was only like 2-3 years before that, I would say.
I don't know about that.
I don't
You
know.
don't think so?
Because I mean, Fate
Uh,
Grand Order has been going on in Japan for like.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about in the U.S.
No, well, but the
Oh,
thing is
no,
that
yeah,
I've
yeah.
known of the game from before that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's more what I mean.
And
Yeah.
like even when I knew it in Japan, I tried it out, but like I'm personally not a fan of using a third-party source to understand what I'm going through. It's like this is too
Yeah.
much cross-referencing. I'm not a fan of this. And just
Having to have like a wiki on one side and then playing the game on your phone is just like
put me out of my misery.
it's a
Just
little
Batista bomb me through the
it's a little
floor.
too much work. But that's one of those games though that's interesting that they saw that Western market. They're like, oh, we noticed that you kind of like our stuff, you know, and we come here to your conventions and we see, you know, we come here to your conventions, you know, and we see that there's a lot of you guys here for this specific IP, you know, in the specific game, and even a lot of you are probably, you know, playing it anyway, and it's just like, we're gonna localize it for you. What do you know? And then boom, huge success with money.
Oh yeah.
Boom. So much so that Type Moon doesn't localize any of their other games.
Why you need
Rip.
that when you can make millions?
I know it's true, but
Oh, I got
Rip.
a little thing here. It says, "Gacha game models began widely in Japan in 2010s."
No, so recently.
Yeah.
Past 8 years.
Yep.
In the last 8 years.
Years. Holy.
Yeah,
we're
dude.
almost at the point of saying it's been a decade since 2010.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. So in the last 8 years, it's just grown exponentially. It doesn't say what the first ones were, does it?
No, it just gives me a handful of them. It says, yeah, they're all newer ones: Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, Puzzle Dragon, Grand Blue Fantasy, and then Fate, and other all garbage ones. They're not
Yeah.
garbage. They just cost money.
And also all the Western knockoffs of
Oh,
I guess all the Chinese knockoffs too.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
probably mostly Chinese, to be honest.
Mm,
All the ones that you get in YouTube ads,
like the food one.
yeah.
I downloaded it, but I haven't started.
I thought it looked cute, but then like there was nothing there to be like, yo, you should do this one. I'm like, but my wife was on the other ones. I'm good. I'm already pressed for time on all my other games.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. So because you have some gacha games that are like completely their own IP. For instance, like how we're playing Azur Lane,
Right.
and even Contact Collection in his own thing was its own IP that they later made a show of, probably to promote it even more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We'll get to that point later on.
yeah, we'll get to that point. And so I find it interesting when you have the two camps. You have the gacha games that they're their own IP in themselves, and then you have the other ones that are based on a previous IP, whether normally light novel to manga into anime into gacha game, usually in that order.
Right.
Or even from video game series, as with Fire Emblem and with the Final Fantasy one.
And with
Is there a God Eater one?
yeah.
Well, that's a
There's-
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
It was a game
necessarily a
first,
gacha game,
and
but
then-
yeah, it was like Hyperdimension Neptunia is another
Yeah.
one. Yeah, okay. But
And Nekopara.
oh yeah, Nekopar as well. But that's a visual novel though. I don't.
A game's a game is a
So
game.
it's still
Okay,
the same.
okay, that's okay,
It's
okay.
all the
That's
same.
fine. That's fine. In that case, Fate would be in the same camp.
Yeah.
And some other ones, but I find that interesting, and I feel like it provides different experiences. So for a lot of the gacha games that come from IPs that come from different areas, I like it a lot, and I think it's cool when games like expand upon those lores, expand upon them and add different storytelling, even though it's the same characters, and I think that's nice, and I think it helps add to the series, even though it can be extremely frustrating too, because you actually know characters from that series, and the gacha mechanics kind of get to you.
Yeah.
Literally, you in FGO with everyone from the Arthurian lore. Who do you have from the Arthurian lore? And
Saber.
just OG Saber.
That's all I have.
Yikes, dude.
OG Saber.
Yikes.
That is all I have.
Not Zerkalot, not Dad.
Oh no! I do have Zerkalot.
Okay.
I do have.
You didn't pull Tristan or anyone
No,
else? from
no one came.
Big ol' Pepe hands.
Yep, no one
Okay.
came.
Did you pull for the GSSR?
Yes, I got Saber.
Ah, I thought you had Saber previously.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, that.
I mean,
that
Altera was my go-to.
big old.
At least
Pepe
you got
hands.
Saber, I guess.
Yeah, see, that's why I was pulling for the cavalry one, which is the other banner with the spellcasters and everyone else.
Yeah,
Because for me, it felt like it would be more beneficial for me personally to try to pull something that had what I thought was a better pull to get from. So even if I pulled someone who I didn't want, at least it wouldn't be Saber that I'd be pulling. Because
see, that makes sense. Well, I didn't have it though, so it wasn't as bad. It was just
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, cool. I have her now.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of wanted her Lancer version a
Mhm.
little bit more, but
you
didn't-
got one.
yeah, exactly. So that didn't happen. But-
Yeah,
Yeah, I think an interesting point you were making from earlier was how you were saying it would garnish support, which is what a lot of them are pushing to do. Like if
Yeah.
you remember back in the early B-Toon versus FGO era, B-Toon was saying that it would release a second season of the show if they ever managed to top FGO in
Yeah.
like the top 10
Yeah.
banner.
Good luck with that.
It didn't happen.
No, I was like halfway through
Well,
getting to it.
And actually, if you look at FGO too, if you look at the different things that have come from that now, I mean, you had that one OVA to promote it, which was the first campaign.
We're getting another.
We're getting two. We're getting a series that covers Babylonia, done by some smaller studio. I don't remember who's doing it. And then you have Production IG doing the Camelot campaign as a movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, and those are things that have come obviously off the popularity of the game.
I'm so hyped to see Gramps Hassan just beat the shit out of who is it, Gwen?
Yeah. So I mean, so it's just gonna be interesting to see those, and you see that, you see that extra thing, and because of I think also because of all that support it's gaining, you see some of the other Fate IPs coming through, obviously with Fate Extra being adapted as well,
Yeah.
and some of the other ones, Strange Fake Win, but we're starting to see a little bit because of support in that sense as well. I think Danmachi's getting a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, but then again, there was quite a boost of light novel sales that they were getting after, like a year or two after the anime was done. With the recent arcs that were
Yeah.
coming out, there was quite a wave of popularity that was in support of it.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then, I mean, some of the other ones, some of the other gacha games are just kind of riding the wave of the popularity of the series in itself.
Yeah.
Like Fire Emblem, for instance.
Yeah,
Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bungo Stray Dogs is another one.
Psycho
Well, they have
Pass,
another
like I mentioned.
season coming out too.
I
Yeah,
never
So
even
that's
watched the
probably-
first. I lost interest in it.
I liked it.
I
but-
got the appeal of it, but just
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it makes
it
sense.
seemed like it seemed very generic in its field,
It is.
and that's one of the things that didn't appeal to me.
It is.
Like I like that field, but I like those creme de la crop
Oh yeah,
shows that come
obviously.
from it.
But I'm a sucker for literary references, so
Mhm.
I watched that. I watched all of it. So
Yeah, that's fair.
it's whatever.
I think another one that I could potentially see getting another gacha game would probably be like No Game No Life.
I can see that as
Yeah.
well. I really can.
It'd be nice. I'd play a shit out of that.
And that would
I'd
make
hate
perfect.
life.
It would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously, but it almost make perfect sense for its material, like what it is too.
Yeah.
Right?
It would just make a lot of sense, which is interesting why they haven't done it. But then again, they haven't really done anything.
My
With
They
that
question
released a
series.
movie like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, they did have
Yeah.
that
Oh, a year and a
movie.
half
A year.
ago?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a year and a
ago.
half ago. Yeah,
Which, in my opinion, had one of the best fighting scenes I've ever seen.
I have
haven't seen
yet
it
to
yet.
see it. So
Yeah, we'll watch it sometime. I don't know
Yeah.
if we'll watch it later today or I don't know when.
I don't
but
know. At some point, we'll
Yeah.
go through it. at
but
some
that fight scene, beautiful.
point. Well, who did No Game No Life?
Can't remember. I'll look it up while you go on.
Because I always felt like that show had very brilliant animation. It was just
Yeah.
Like-
the colors were great too.
the saturation of
Yeah.
colors, just like the brightness and like the contrast that some of those colors gave. To me, it was like one of those shows I'm just like, oh boy, this is pretty
The
to
hair
watch.
color. I just love the hair color. That blue, like
Oh yeah,
Purple,
that
yeah.
rainbowish kind of
Yeah.
effect going down.
it's like
But it's just like
So
all of
beautiful.
all the lighting effects and the effects in general just
Oh, yeah.
blended together to make it like very visually appealing.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, my question is, if that became a gacha game, like
Here, I'll give you guys 2 guesses as to try to figure out who it was.
You got this, Eddie.
A1.
Nope.
Production IG.
Madhouse.
It was fucking Madhouse.
Really?
Madhouse, the de-animation.
Good lord.
Huh.
No
That
wonder it
makes
didn't
sense.
get a sequel.
Rip.
So
what type of gacha game would it be? Like, what would the gameplay be?
Literally anything, to be honest.
That's why I'm
it
wondering,
could be.
like-
it could be anything. Actually, I can see like different game modes.
Yeah, that's
There's
what
a
I
whole
was
bunch of
thinking.
different game modes.
Like how Danmachi has the casino now. That's why.
Yeah.
like, I could see them adding like chess and basically all the games they played,
Yeah.
except the shooting one because that's already licensed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Madhouse. That makes a lot of sense. Madhouse has made some really good stuff. Really good stuff.
oh yeah,
It's one of those older companies too. Madhouse has been around for quite a bit.
yeah.
I mean,
They-
Trigun is Madhouse.
They get tons of shit too.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I-
tons of work.
Oh yeah, they get
That's what I
tons. I mean, they're just swamped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
booked until 2020, I think was
Yep.
the last thing we heard from them.
Yep. That's what they've said. But Madhouse is one of those that a studio I like a lot. So that's
too.
cool. But I can see that as a gacha game. I like that. I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that very much. I don't know what others. I'm trying to think because you kind of have to have
A lot of characters.
a
And
large
another
character.
thing, you also have like some sort of a lore that kind of fits with it. Like
Yeah,
looking at FGO, like and at least in the Fate series, it made sense because like in the lore there was like a constant battle. There was all these servants you could bring up. So it's like translating that to a game relatively easy. to fit.
it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Especially given how like the light novels were working out. Like a lot of them weren't traditional. These are Holy Grail wars. It's more like, well, there's a Holy Grail happening, but a bunch of shit's gonna happen because of that. So it's whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And you could have twisted it all over the place, and the potential of summoning people from history and legend is almost infinite. So,
Yeah, but never let that distract you from the fact that Septum was shit. The campaign.
Story.
oh
Yeah.
no, yeah. Well, the first campaigns were pretty garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but more so Septum than the other
Yeah,
ones.
Septum wasn't that great.
No, I hated it.
Yeah, no. I mean, no.
I
It's
like Nero. I've been converted to the house of Tamamo because she's actually come home.
The House of the Mikon.
Yeah, but
The only
and the
person
sunshine.
oh my god.
But
Best line.
best line. But I still like Nero. I just hated how it was like all bashed in your face. Like, oh, remember Nero? Remember how she's cute? Look at her. Oh, look at her. Love her.
She's the
good.
best.
Yeah.
And it's like,
She's
oh
the
my
best.
God.
You want Nero. You want to love Nero. You remember that Nero that you heard about in history class? That's not Nero. That's definitely not Nero.
Who?
Basically,
She didn't burn down Rome. No, that didn't happen.
it was built in the day.
Yeah.
Burned down in a day though.
Yeah, it was burned down in a day. But yeah, I mean, so that one had endless potential. Something like, well, I think a lot of the series that borrow from RPG elements all kind of have that, I guess, potential to do stuff like that.
Like
Like
Overlord and
and
Yeah.
Danmachi and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, there's an SAO one. That
Oh,
makes sense.
Yeah,
I've
SAO.
heard
It's
about
just anything from that. Just because usually, I mean, those are series that are built on this idea of like, okay, we built this world. That world has its rules. This world has infinite amounts of characters because it's its own world
Yeah.
that a main character will interact with, and it never ends.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like perfect.
You need like different
Fodder
timelines
for
or more
essentially,
people.
Yeah. yeah, it's like perfect for it. So
That's
And
why like Uma Musume would be
see,
a good one.
that's
'cause
another one too because
I'm not
Infinite
gonna play it.
horses.
I'm not gonna play it.
That's fine.
It doesn't look interesting to me, and like I honestly lost interest in the show.
Nah,
I
I
still
mean,
haven't
man.
finished it.
I feel yeah. I'm
You're
probably
missing
not
out
gonna play it
on,
either, but
Nothing.
yeah.
I like the show, but the ending.
Yeah, it has one of those generic endings, but
Everyone
A
wins.
generic ending for a generic show? Legasp.
Oh,
I
man.
know, right?
Who would have connected the
Right.
dots?
Well, I
It's
know.
like anime, generic.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. But so yeah, so actually that's one that's also been announced, but that also has that same thing, potential endless amount of characters to pull from.
Horses keep coming out. There's infinite race
Oh
horses
my!
at this
It's
point.
it's a gambling game based on one of the oldest gambling sports in the world.
Poker?
Slavery.
Yes.
Oh, that's a better one.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, so there is that one.
My question
as
is, how many games started as like a gacha game before it moved to anime? Is there any?
well. I don't.
I think. No, I think the light novels came out for Bitoon before it became a game.
Kantai.
The Kantai collection did.
Okay.
That's the biggest standout
Technically,
one.
you could say FGO, because
Was it before?
No, because
'Cause
the
they
Fate
would-
Stay Night visual
yeah,
novels
yeah,
are not
but
gacha games.
right. But then the thing is, like with the connection of, so it's on the same lore more or less,
Yeah.
but they're basically different universes, and how they pay themselves out is completely different
yes,
from one
yes,
another.
it is very different.
Okay.
It just borrows characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's still something
But
there,
then, like,
I guess.
But FGO itself, I would say, like not referring to the visual novels, which were all turned into anime.
Yeah.
Looking at the game, yeah, I would say that, yeah.
Oh yeah. Anything
one
that
turns-
anything that comes off the game would definitely run that way.
Yeah.
But the entire IP itself is born from something that's much older.
Fair, fair.
Well, I can almost even consider just like from manga or visual novel to game to anime,
I don't know if that.
because even then it's like your characters are there, but normally they're animated so you can see what they look like more before they become a game or become a show.
That is true. I mean that.
What's the name
but
of the
that,
series
but
again?
that, God Eater. But that
God
wasn't. But that was never a gotcha game though. in
no,
this
but that
sense.
was,
But it was-
again.
It's
it was a
game
Game.
to game to.
Game to game, the Or wait, was it a game first and then a
Yeah,
novel?
it's a game.
It was a game.
Oh, okay.
There's no novels or anything.
Oh,
for it.
really?
It was just for game and anime.
Yeah.
Okay, game to anime. Interesting.
Game to CG Fest. But yeah, so that one's one that works out.
You know,
that way
I'm
as well.
surprised
What?
looking around in your room.
Yeah.
That there's no Gundam gacha game
It's very true.
because there's like millions of Gundams.
There's
At least different-
quite a lot.
At least 3, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, there's quite a lot.
because you have different styles of too.
Oh, dude, if you get customized them, dude, it's over.
Yeah,
That's
It's
fucking
over.
over.
It's like if you were to take the Build Divers like concept, because the show is absolute straight garbage, but if you were to take that concept
yeah.
and translate it into like a game, then that would be brilliant.
I guess they're making enough money on their figures. I guess you'd consider them or models.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's where Sunrise makes most of its money. That's why I can just crank out shows like nobody's business.
That is true.
That and all the money it gets from the one random IP of Love Live that gives them all the money in the
That's
world.
infinite money right there. That's a game too,
All right,
right?
guys, how are we gonna fund mekas? I don't know. What do people like nowadays? Cute shit. What's cute? Girls. What kind of girls? Idols. Let's make an idol thing. And we'll just use that to funnel into the mechas. I like that.
Yep, and that's
money.
basically what they did. Because it's if you look at like all of Sunrise's IP from like the beginning, it's like all mecha or sci-fi,
Yeah,
and then you have Love Live.
they knew.
just randomly. I remember when I found out it was Sunrise, I was watching. I'm like, the fuck, this was made by
Mhm.
Sunrise. It's like, what is this? And then, but yeah, that's just how they fund it, dude. That's how they have endless monies. That's how they can just keep.
Is there a
pumping
gacha
out
game
shows.
of that?
Love Live?
Yeah.
I was about to say, if there's
Yeah.
not a gacha game of
It-
that,
There
they're
is-
losing.
It plays weird. It's not like a traditional gacha game in the sense like.
Is it a tapper?
I think so. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you get CEs and cards that are what you're trying to.
Idol
pull for.
Idol
Oh,
Master was
interesting,
a game, wasn't it? Before it was a show.
Yes, I
I don't know.
Yes.
I want to say yes as
I want to
well.
say yes.
Okay, so
Oh,
so
I can look it up
you can
really
look it up. Yeah, we should, because that's one that I'm under the impression that it was probably a game or something before it was a
Right.
show.
Right.
But that's I don't know. But that also falls in that category as well.
I still haven't seen the second show of Idol Master. I only saw the first.
I didn't even see the first. I just know it exists.
It's so cute. It's so.
Oh, I know it is. It's just I just
Mickey
haven't
is
done
best though. Anyone else saying otherwise is the heathen.
it. I mean, I like my diabetes-inducing shows. I just haven't got around to it. So it's, but yeah, I mean,
It's also the reason I haven't finished K-On! It was too much diabetes. I'm like halfway through the second season. I'm like, I can't.
it's too much. And then the movie, it's even more. But yeah, that's another good one like that. But it's true. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't know what you'd really do with it though. Unless it was like a fighter. I mean, there's Gundam fighting games now.
All the Idol ones I see is 2016 for Idol Masters.
No,
So
maybe
I can-
not.
Yeah,
Maybe it was show first.
there's a 360 video game in 2005,
Oh,
Maybe?
and then the Idol Masters show. Oh no, that video game series was 2005 in general.
Oh, see, there you go. So it was a video game series first, because the show's newer.
Is it?
There's no way it's before
Idol
2005.
Masters?
No way.
I don't know, man. It's like
There's no way. It's done by like A1 too, because the character designer for like Anohana and stuff is the one who did the Idol Master Girls.
right. And now what do you see for us?
I see arcade game in 2005.
But look at the show.
I'm trying to find it. It's not giving me a date.
Stupid internet. Why? What? Not even useful.
Development was in 2001.
Not even useful. But it was a rhythm game series.
Yeah, it just gives me 2005,
Release. Latest release was
2018. It's gonna give you the same thing.
Even if you put an anime, is that really what it does?
Oh wait, no, I changed it. 2014.
Oh yeah, so yeah,
Ah,
that was
yeah,
totally a game
yeah.
first.
Game
Totally,
first.
totally a game first.
So Idol Masters like 10-year difference almost.
There you go.
Damn.
It was a rhythm game though, but
Yeah.
well, a little bit different. But yeah, there you go. It was first. I knew
We
it.
found one.
Yeah, I knew it was first. We had a few, but yeah.
It's
They
crazy to see that everything's kind of like changing more towards gacha games. Oh, Boku no Hero would be another good one.
That could be another one. But
Infinite
Yeah.
characters.
Probably.
it's just I don't know what you would do for gameplay, but
I don't know. Like every other game.
those are just a
You
fighting
could do
game.
something like
Yeah.
you could do something like the Dragon Ball Z gacha games at the moment. Was it Legend? Yeah, I don't
know the name.
I don't
I
know.
don't know what it's called, but yeah, it could be like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like that one. But yeah, I don't know many others just off the top of my head that
Well, as I was
could
saying,
work.
but it's crazy that everything's more going towards the gacha game, which I understand is like infinite money flow.
Yes.
And
I mean, for a quick snapshot, just in NA, FGO made $1 billion.
Yeah.
damn. In a year, or was it?
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
1 year
in the-
mark.
in
It
the
hit
year
like at
mark.
1.6 billion,
Yep.
1.2 billion.
Well, they also say that the U.S. spends more than Japan in general on gacha games. Yeah, pretty much.
Capitalism at its
It's
finest.
almost like we have a city dedicated to nothing but gambling. Starts with an
City?
L, rhymes with Las Vegas.
City. You mean a
Atlanta City?
state where they don't pay taxes because they just tax gambling places?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
But
Wouldn't that be nice? But you also live in the desert.
yeah, it's true too. But
Us too.
yes,
Yeah.
but
But well, I was saying,
Yeah.
going gacha game instead of just like normal story game or
well, you want to
like
get
a
you want to
fighter.
get the most bang for your buck, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, I know you can still see
But-
them coming out like
Yeah.
normal games, but
They still exist.
At the same time, something I'm really interested in. I have a lot of fun with these gacha games,
Yes.
and I'm wondering, like, although a lot of them are made with the intent of just trying to pump out as much money as they can from the
Yes.
fan. I wonder
Yeah.
how many of them came into it with the mentality of the gameplay. Like, obviously, I would think of like Kenko or something because they had nothing backing it before that. It
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
it's a standalone. This is what we think would be a pretty interesting game, and here's like some things that keep it going. I wonder how many came up with that model or like with that philosophy of like going in for the gameplay reasons as opposed to just for the milking.
I can
Yeah.
see that more with the ones that come on their own, if that makes sense. Like you said, like Contact Collection.
Or maybe Azure Lane? Maybe no, I don't
Well,
know.
know.
Azure Lane would be more of a copy of Contact
Yeah.
Collection
Yeah.
if you really think about
Yeah.
it. But I think of a lot of those. Girls Frontline is its own kind of deal as well. That one's
Okay.
a little bit different, even though it does borrow a little bit from like the Contact Collection
Yeah, but
kind
then
of
again,
model.
it'd be kind of a given.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, exactly. So
you
I
kind
mean,
of have to copy somewhat at this point
No,
if you're
you-
going into the gacha.
I mean,
game area.
it is still a little bit different, but
Well,
it
yeah.
has some of the similar
They all
mechanics.
have same elements. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like despair, crying.
yep.
Lost some money.
Yep. So I mean I can see that a lot. I can see that more with some of the older ones, like coming out with their own personal IPs.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if we're talking about ones that come from something that already existed, it's either it doesn't do well and it was just promotional anyway,
Yeah.
or it does really well and it just keeps funding it.
I like
And it
that.
has to be done with that mentality.
Right.
Yeah. I like out of the gacha games that some of them actually give you more story.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
They'll either keep going
Like
on
the
from the
Danmachi
anime.
one.
Yeah, like the
I've really
Danmachi
been
one.
Appreciating, especially because the writer himself had a lot of hand
Uh-huh.
in writing a lot of the stories.
That's always
The
sweet.
Fate one works the same way. Nasu's
Yeah.
done a few of the campaigns, and like some of the better campaigns too. And I can't think of other ones. Did the SAO one add anything?
There's small tidbits. There's nothing ever important though.
No.
It was always like, look, I got a swimsuit.
Fi-
Like, oh, sweet.
Fire Emblem had some story, but it was nothing near the complexity of what a traditional Fire Emblem game would be. So
No. Oh, the SAO one did go more into the visual novels, like this next season that's
Light
coming
novels.
out, or light novel, sorry. The next season that's coming out, they
A la
did something on
cardization?
that. Polymerization?
The a la cartization, yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I do like that a lot, and I do appreciate when they put a little more into it. Like if we're going quality wise, I do like if we take something like Fate Grand Order or Danmachi, you'll have like the actual voice actors and stuff just coming in, pumping stuff into the game as well.
I like that some of those voice actors also play the game. Like
Uh-huh.
Oh,
the
do they?
voice actress who does Okita and Majin Okita or
Yeah.
Okita Alter.
Yeah.
She low key whales for the game. And when she got her own coffee, she was just geeking out and posting on Twitter and shit. But she was also pulling up a lot
That's
of her other
awesome as
polls that
shit.
she got.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty sweet. The only thing is, I wish there was like better gameplay on some of these, because some of them are
So-
almost like I just want the hit of the pull and then move on.
well, yeah, I mean, so you have two issues. Well, your first and major issue is hardware.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And your second issue, which ties into hardware, is universality.
Yeah.
The idea that you want to hit as many people as physically possible, which means you have to cater to as many different hardware setups as physically possible.
Yeah.
Which means
Fucking potato users.
exactly. So which means you have to have a game that is optimized to a point that where it can run at the best
And at Edge and Sketch levels.
and at Etch and Sketch levels.
That might be better gameplay at some points.
Oh,
So
I fucked up Saber's sword. Oh shit! Now she has a knife. Oh, now it turned into a scythe.
exactly, because I mean, you see a lot of Western developers, maybe even some Eastern ones,
Yeah.
that are starting to develop phone games that take a little bit more advantage of the higher end hardware.
Well,
Right.
the hardware is getting better in general.
Oh no, it is.
Like you can run, I'm gonna say this with quotations, BioShock on your phone at like 1 frame a second.
Oh, you could actually. You could probably do it on more with some of the newer phones.
Yeah. Well, last time I saw, I think most of them were running like 30, but it was like low graphics on like a 360. So
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen
That's still
someone.
pretty.
I
good.
saw someone play The Witcher on an S9.
Oh really?
Nothing
like,
will
no,
impress
yeah.
me more than Dark Souls on the Donkey Kong bongos.
I know, right?
That'll be the best.
That's my future.
So I preface that by
Yeah.
the sense that they're streaming it onto their phone,
Yeah.
so
but
it's not
that's
using
still-
the full hardware. It's using your graphics
Yeah, I was
output,
gonna say
though.
you're running your graphics.
But you're also running your
Probably
your
burned
graphics
your-
card at,
Yeah, yeah.
but it can run it, and
Yeah.
it can run it
It's
decently
probably
too.
burning the shit out of your phone. Though.
Not necessarily.
You
I
don't
mean,
think so?
with how much RAM it has, there's
Yeah.
more RAM in one of those phones than people have in their traditional home computers
Yeah, that's true.
And their potato laptops.
and their potato laptops.
My laptop
My
is
MacBook.
amazing.
Exactly. So I mean, so you do see a lot of developers kind of catering to that audience.
Yeah.
You see Bethesda doing that with their mobile.
Yeah,
Elder
with
Scrolls game.
Skyrim on Alexa
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Skyrim on your magnets. And
The Alexa shit was so.
Exactly.
That's such a good commercial.
Exactly. So, I mean, so you do see that a little bit, right? Especially with these bigger high end phones.
Yeah.
But it's catered to a niche audience,
Yeah, that's true.
especially if you consider it on a worldwide stage.
Yeah.
I mean, the U.S. is a little bit more known to crank it up on their technology just because they want the new thing and because, capitalism. And Japan, even though they do have a lot of new stuff, it's still a little dialed back.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like it's
I can see
instead
that.
of pushing forward, it's like them optimizing towards something that was already made and making
Yeah.
it a bit more accessible or more easier for them to fuck
Exactly.
around with.
For instance, something that blows my mind a little bit if when you're looking at it. So all the gacha games I have, except for Outer Lane now, because Outer Lane just came out
Yeah.
for NA. But every single other one, so obviously some of the newer Samsung phones, I don't know if the iPhones are the same way, but they have a little bit of a stranger aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit different, right? So normally
Yeah.
when you open up an app, you'll have these black bars on the side
Yeah.
because the aspect ratio is not right. Now, so when I'm playing Azure Lane, they actually put something in that space.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
then,
sweet.
it's like it. You can look at it right now for us, but it looks like for everyone else at home,
Oh, that's pretty
it
sweet.
looks like they just took like a crop of like. Imagine like you're inside of the command, the control room,
Yeah.
and you're looking at like one of the screens that have like a radar and like
Yeah.
it blips and all these graph dashes and all
Yeah.
these different things. It looks like they took some of that and just added it off to the side to give it more of the.
But,
So
but
just
aesthetic.
giving you a black bar.
yeah, but instead of just leaving it like, oh, we only made this one version for everyone who has like we said,
Potatoes.
and that's it.
Calling my phone a potato?
Yes.
Are you saying it's not?
It doesn't taste like one.
but you can see that they're at least they're catering to that newer thing. But like I said, if you look at every other gacha game though, it's in the same aspect ratio. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not very hardware intensive usually.
No, they're not.
They're not at all. They might take up lots of memory,
See,
but they're not super hardware intensive.
I probably played like 5 or 6 gacha games, and like if I had to rate them on like gameplay, I'd almost have to say like this Azure Lane, it's probably number 1, number 2.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Right now, I would argue that Azure Lane is probably the best in gameplay, just because there's something more to it than just like
Yeah, it's a little
like
different.
the traditional like Final Fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
Click
Yeah.
this attack, and now it's gonna miss or hit or some bullshit.
I also really
like that,
liked
but-
the SAO one. It was basically this where you walk around, you tap the screen for attacks, but you had to do dodges and specials.
Like Honkai Impact as
Something
well.
has a bit more of
Honkai
an
Impact is
interactive
very good.
gameplay.
It was a little
Yeah.
more like a hack and slash.
It's like
built
I'm
into a
actually going
phone.
to play the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
and not click a few buttons and then walk away.
Yeah, like look, I like the Pokemon format. I was a fan of Pokemon
Yeah.
Yeah.
since childbirth, I guess. I grew up with the fucking but like that kind of format gets kind of old,
yeah.
especially when
It does.
everyone's doing it, and it's just like. Well,
I mean,
guess.
you can add certain innovations, and even if you look at like certain like JRPGs and stuff like that, there's certain games that do add different things to innovate upon it.
Oh yeah.
But then again, those are full blown games running on bigger machines. But you could do a lot of that stuff like on a phone. I mean, phone on emulators can run a lot of like old school games and stuff
yeah,
like
that
that.
is true.
So I mean, you could build something that's fairly substantial in a setting like that.
Yo, when you give me that gacha game that's an RTS, oof, that's gonna be the good shit.
For reals though.
I'd play the fuck out of it.
I don't know what. That's good. That's an interesting thing to think about.
Well, you just
actually.
port
'cause,
Mario
like-
Rabbids.
Because for me, a lot of people reference like StarCraft and whatever else as their favorite like RTS.
Yeah.
My favorite RTS, aside from Halo Wars, 'cause that
Yeah.
one's gonna be my all-time favorite. Looking aside from that, I would say probably Advanced Wars. That was on the
Advance
Game Boy.
Wars was great.
Yo, if I can get something
Advanced-
that's like Advanced Wars, dude, that's
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I did like how Fire Emblem kind of took
Their
the
game.
traditional Fire Emblem scale and scaled
Right.
it down, but because it's scaled down too,
It's super easy,
it's
kinda.
it loses a bit of the really strategic appeal of
Yeah.
your standard Fire Emblem game.
You get the main meta and you just hope.
it's like they're giving you a little sample of the meal. And it's like, no, I want the meal.
Yeah,
Give me the
exactly,
meal.
exactly.
That probably boosted their sales though.
You're a boost.
Oh yeah, it did. Well, I mean,
Thank you.
in Japan, I don't think they need boosts, but
No, I mean here at least.
I mean,
Weren't those fuckers the same fuckers that added Core in the Smash, or did they add someone else? 'Cause I'm pretty sure Europe was the one that added Bayonetta.
no, Sakurai added Core in the Smash. They never announced who's the one who added it. It was just like we're putting this character in.
I'm pretty sure it was Europe that got Bayonetta.
No, Europe got Bayonetta. They said Europe got Bayonetta. That was their shindig.
Yeah.
But Corrin,
Bastards.
but
You guys fucked the game.
but
You guys
Corrin
did this.
is just Nintendo taking an opportunity to market Fates.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically all that was. So, but I can see bigger style gotcha games being created
Yeah.
if they really wanted to put the time into it.
I was thinking about like running visually. Like Honkai Impact was fucking hella nice looking.
Oh yeah, it was. It actually was. It was hardware intensive because for me,
Burn
on-
battery.
on my older phone,
Yeah.
like not this one, but the one before it, like I would see dips and stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it would want to crash on me, and I'm just like, "But this is a nice phone. Why are you doing this to me?"
You have to run it on potato. And then you're fine.
It's not that we're catering to potato. We're making it so you can only play it on potato. We're purging everything that isn't a potato.
It's pretty much what they're doing.
basically. But actually, that would in that case, in this case, it would have been the opposite. But it would have been purging all potato software. But yeah.
Bless you.
Thank
Good
you.
insight.
I don't know. I felt like I was going to sneeze and then it didn't happen. So
And you snorted it back up. You just gave it the go.
Just keep it in there.
I snorted outwards, actually, technically. But
So is Pokemon Go a gotcha game?
no,
No.
Okay.
that's some AR.
Because there's no gambling aspect to it. Sure,
Yeah.
there's a method for you to pump money into it. There's a lot of microtransactions you can pump in, but the gameplay itself isn't necessarily reliant on you pumping in money to have access to
Yeah.
certain things.
Because that's
Just
what
walk or
that's what
catch.
gotcha means.
Yeah.
It's just that you
It's got your wallet.
Got your wallet, dude.
But that's what it means, though. It's like you just pump a certain currency into a machine that has a random rollout, and
Yeah.
you use that random rollout.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so that's good. Yeah, I think maybe I don't know, but yeah, gotcha games are fun.
I don't know about fun. Fuck you, Mr. I pull an SSR every other day.
You're worse than Josh.
That's not in every game.
Yeah.
It's
The only
not-
reason he's
it's-
worse than Josh is because we don't see Josh anymore. That's why you don't see him on the podcast.
Yeah, he died actually.
Yeah, he died.
Cut him up from our life.
He bit the dust.
He's toxic.
Another one bites the dust.
Dumb, yes. But
Who's the next one?
oh no, Cameron, because he's not with us.
Oh, sorry, Cameron.
but yeah, I don't know. They're interesting.
Like I like them. As I said, more gameplay in certain ones would be nice.
Yeah, I like the extra things they add, like we've said.
Yeah.
For instance, just because we can talk about this because we've all seen it, because we mentioned the Machi a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I do like a lot what the game has added to the lore out of the visual novels, right? And I think it'd be cool if we talked about it a little bit because it's a great show that should be promoted more because it's great, and the writer's a boss. But
is it good?
Yes,
It's my second or third favorite. I can't really tell right now. Series of I guess in anime culture at the moment. For me, I have Overlord at the top.
Yes.
But that goes across all platforms.
Yeah.
And then for second and third, I have the Danmachi and the No Game No Life series, just kind of playing around those two spots. But I really love the story. I fucking love.
It's great.
I fucking love that storytelling.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's well paced. It's wonderful.
I like the show.
Well, yeah, the show is great. The show is hype, you know?
Yeah.
Good characters.
Yeah, I really like the pacing of the show, too. Like, for me, I felt like they could have gone the easy route and could have ended the show so many other times earlier in the first season.
Yeah.
With some big arcs, but they're like, nah, we're going to keep going to the next big thing just to get you more hyped on everything else that's been going around it.
Which makes it interesting for how they're going to do some of the bigger arcs later, and how they're going to pace them out.
Yeah. But focusing on just the first season, I really appreciated the scoring that they did for the music. Like, there was a lot of moments that I felt were sold completely on how the music was playing out. Like, the scene itself was really fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when Belle's fighting the Minotaur and just doing the duel,
that was
the background music going on, I'm like, this is getting me on an emotional level.
And like the voice actors too. Voice actors' performance really sold that pretty well as well.
And shit.
Yeah, it's like you felt it, you know.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Aina's voice was also Asuna's, and also
I didn't know that.
Oh, what was the other big role that she did recently? Oh fuck. I'll look it up. You guys go. Fuck, man.
We'll cover it. I liked the whole show. The characters. There's so many characters in the show that are likable. There's
a lot.
There's not many that I think I was like, you can pass up on this person.
I think something I like about it is not only is there so many characters, it's like the characters are made and designed in a way, and they're presented in a way that seems kind of almost more realistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they all have different personalities.
Well, yeah, there's different personalities with different backstories, with different they feel individual, if that makes sense. It's like especially since it's a series that borrows a lot from RPG elements, right?
Yeah.
You have all these characters that don't really feel like NPCs, you know, like your random background characters. I mean, a lot of them, even if they are, or even if they have the function of like an NPC, it's like a very well written NPC, like very well written.
It's not like here's your main characters, and then here's a few others, but you'll see them every so often.
And I think one of the bigger things that makes it stand out because of that, though, so the thing I believe makes all these characters as great as they are is you get a glimpse into like motivations, if that makes sense, because I feel like that brings a lot of life into a character, and especially if it's not just your standard motivations. Like, it's motivation driven by the inner workings of the character, whether that
what
be
happened in their life,
whether it be backstory, whether it be whatever their personality type is. You have all these inner conflicts and stuff that are very unique to their character in this world, and how that motivates them to do the different actions that happen. And I mean, and that's something that I really do like about it, even though I feel like some of those elements are almost hidden behind like a traditional kind of almost like harem-esque kind
very harem.
kind of show, you know, with your traditional dumb not dumb protagonist, but like
I almost say for a harem show, if that they all have their own personalities. Like if
they do,
if you go through SAO, you have Asuna and then the other guys. They're all one
fun.
personality.
It's true. They're very one dimensional.
Yeah,
That's the issue.
like because they follow on their stories. I don't go back to this. Since I've watched it, you see Asuna's story and you see Sion's story, but everybody else is like, here's a little tidbit, and then we're gonna move on. But I feel like Danmachi is like, here's an episode on her, here's an episode on her, here's an episode on him, or here's even just parts of stuff.
So I think I've mentioned this before, and we've talked about stuff. It's like I believe, like a story works really well because I mean a story can be like perfectly exactly how life is portrayed. Obviously, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. Even when we ourselves talk about memories we have and stories we have to tell, we frame it
Yeah.
in a certain way, right? That's not exactly, just bird's eye view of what happened, but it revolves an experience, in this case with either us or whoever we're talking about as a main character and how that influences everything. So what I like about Danmachi is you do see like all these characters, like different motivations and stuff and everything. And I think I talked about this a little bit when we talked about Megaloboxing as well, is that you see them under the light of how the main character influences the world.
Yeah, yeah.
By his own motivations.
Okay, so real quickly, going back to the
Yes,
voice actors.
yes.
She did a voice in Durarara. She was one of the side characters.
Oh.
She did Lala from To Love Ru.
Oh,
She did a
okay.
voice in Star Driver. She did a couple Gundam voices.
Yeah.
She's done obviously Asuna and
Yeah.
Sword Art Online. She did the orange-haired girl from Anohana,
Oh, okay.
and just a lot of shows overall, to be honest. Like a lot of them aren't really standout ones to me. There was a game or something that she was a part of too. I'll look into a bit more while I'm at it. But yeah, like she's relatively popular.
Just a little bit, it
Just-
sounds
just-
like.
Just a little bit. She's just one of those voice actresses that's
I
just
think I've heard of one of those shows.
maybe possibly. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I had. But yeah, back to the matter at hand. I'm like, that's what I like a lot about Danmachi. Is just that it's like, because you do see these characters, you do see their motivations, you see how those motivations change
Yeah.
because they're either introduced to other characters or they run through the main protagonist and they see his motivations, and sometimes the way he carries out his motivations changes how other characters' motivations works out and stuff like that. And it's a very fluid living world.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is, I believe, some of the best types of world building and storytelling, or just the use of outside characters in storytelling. Which I think I did mention that with Megaloboxing as well, which was why I liked how that worked as well as it did. Because you do have shows that will focus just on world building, and you lose characterization in the process. Log Horizon, but.
Oh, Jaden's gonna hate you for that one. That's his
Yeah.
favorite series the
I
whole
know,
time.
I know.
It sucks, Jaden. Don't let this distract you from the fact that it fucking sucks. It's a shitty show.
Which I believe he's really big into the whole world building aspect of it anyway, which is probably why he likes it as much as it does, which is whatever's. But
Not really. He likes it for the politics.
Really?
that's
That's his favorite part
oh
about it.
my
part
God.
in world building, right?
Sure.
Right. It's part of it, right?
Just not an agree. And
Okay,
hang
that's
yourself.
whatever's. But yeah, so I mean, so you do have those shows, right? That the focus is so big on like, oh, we have this crazy world that you lose some of the characters, and it loses the story aspect of it. I mean, I like reading history texts more than probably more people, but
Yeah.
it feels so much better and you internalize it so much more when the history is presented in a more story-esque standpoint,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. It's like because when you just focus on world building, it treats it like a textbook. It treats it like very bare bones, like this is what's happening, this is this person did this, and there's little focus on who those people are and why they did the thing and all this, which is a major aspect of storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. And which in my eyes provides the entertainment aspect of the whole idea of storytelling. It's not just, oh, I created this cool place, or I came up with this cool idea, but it's about the characters that go through that.
Yeah, it dives deeper than.
Yeah. And
The surface.
you don't even have to go super deep into characters too, but
No.
just
Well, the
'cause-
problem is if you go super deep and then you get
yeah,
lost
you
and
get a little too far.
Okay,
but-
darling, without.
Yeah, but then again, those characters weren't that very deep in the first place. So,
No.
No.
but yes.
Sorry.
That's a perfect response to that. So, but yeah, I mean that is one of those things, and that's why I like Danmachi as much as it is. I mean, it's not a complex story.
No.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very like bare bones wise. There's nothing too.
Basically, like a basic shonen.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of how it handles itself.
It's a
Yeah.
boy powering up, and girls like him.
Has like a simple motivation.
Yeah.
He fights for it, and that's basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the way that's paced and the way all the characters fuel into this that just make it, in my eyes, something really good.
Yeah.
I also really appreciate the original lore that it seeps into, and like that it kind of references with both, like I guess obviously the Greek mythology that it goes into, but all the other mythos
Yeah.
that it kind of dabbles in as well.
Yeah.
I like how so in that case I do like how it takes it upon it, like takes it into its own thing, because I mean there's little hints, that little references to like the different mythos, like
Right.
oh hey, this character does this because he's this character.
Well, you
But-
got like Bell in the game, with at least in the Danmachi game where he can't be charmed.
Oh yeah,
Where-
but, yeah, no,
It's written into the thing, which
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
interesting.
But there's also like if you notice Dionysus, even though they have him play like this really political and really I guess spec ops type of
Yeah.
things that he goes into, you almost always see him with like a glass of
Oh,
wine,
yeah.
or you see him with some sort of liquor always on him.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that's your stick. Or the relationship that is hinted that Hermes and Zeus
Yeah.
is a big one.
That's
Yeah.
That's
Probably
a
the
big
biggest one.
that's a big one that you look at. If you understand the mythology, you're just like, that makes so much sense. That's just brilliant. Or the tricksterness of like Loki and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that,
Freya.
or the
beautiful,
regalness, the regal beautifulness of Freya and stuff, and little things like that are hinted at. And I like it too when you read further ahead, and stuff, and you see some of the newer characters that are added in, and you see that same level of details added to each one, where you're like, yeah, that's totally that character, that mythos, and that's totally how he would influence if he existed in that world.
I just really
Yeah.
also appreciate how it feels like its own character.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
opposed to someone that's like just like a plug and play of like what I would assume would be like the basic like, oh, it's a dwarf, this is how dwarves react. Oh, this is an elf, this is how elves react, and like every fucking copy pasta of just
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, exactly, and it does subvert some of those traditional fantasy tropes and
Yeah.
embraces others, but it does it in a way that, like I said, it feels very living in its own world, right?
Yeah.
Which I do appreciate a lot.
same.
Almost for the same reasons why I appreciate Overlord as well. But yeah, so and that Danmachi's series I like a lot.
Yeah,
a good show.
I
It's-
like a lot.
that and Overlord are probably the two series I'm actively buying the books for. Like, yeah, I'm still buying the books for No Game No Life, but I don't prioritize it as much as the other two.
Yeah,
I wish I could read.
the Danmachi ones, yeah, I do.
Yeah, he's dyslexic, by the way.
Yeah, I do get those, but he gets all the Overlord ones, so I don't have to, so it's okay.
That's fair.
Exactly.
You've gotten like one of the Danmachi books. I got all the rest of them. What do you mean? You son of a bitch.
Okay, it's not fair.
I get the Danmachi books. You contributed one to the stockpile that I already
Dude,
had.
that saved you like
yeah.
$30, man.
Oh yeah.
God.
It's like that that shitty the Will I Am meme. It's like,
Oh.
you made this song? Hold it. I made this.
I made this up. Exactly. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's a good series.
Yeah, I
People
like
should
that.
watch.
It's super simple, but it's so well done with the simplicity of like I guess the type of story that it's trying to push for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like built in a way where it can, well, technically it can go on forever, but and which is why tying it into the things before, which is why like in the game you get all these little extra little tidbits and extra little side stories that you feel like could fit just randomly in between these bigger events that they cover.
It's just that it seems like in the books they cover the bigger events,
Yeah.
and the more
Yeah.
important stuff. So it's like the stuff like, yeah, it makes sense that it's thrown in there.
Exactly, and even when you go through those, like the characters still feel like they're characters. Like you go through them and you're like, oh yeah, it's totally what that person would do. And it's good when you can do that.
Yeah.
It's good when you can look at a character and be like, and they do something, you're just like, that makes sense for that character.
Yeah, which is double dipping into, I guess, not designs, but I guess building overall. It's one of the big reasons I don't like Attack on Titan, because I feel like all the characters are fucking insignificant. At this point, it's the role that they portray that is important, not them. Like at this point, you can plug and play any other character into those similar roles and just have them react to the shit that's going on, because it seems like in the storytelling they're trying to do, it's more important of what's going on as opposed to who's going through it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
the background story.
Plot.
Basically.
The plot comes over the characters.
Yeah.
Which the plot should be driven by the characters.
Yeah.
Even if there is outside forces, I mean, what and eventually goes down should be driven by the characters.
I guess another reason I really disliked Darling in the Franxx, because like it tried to do both.
Yeah.
And it couldn't decide what to do. So ultimately it was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck the characters. There's explosions. I'm like, all right.
Here's everything.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Because I mean, even with some other series that you would think would be very like plot heavy, if you take, for instance, all the Gundam I've seen, right? You do have some Gundam that are very plot driven, and they don't stand out as much. And then you have like some of these smaller series that are very character driven.
I can't say much because my favorite's still
I know yeah, exactly. That's very plot driven, but you know.
But even though
but
it's
really
good. Even though it's really plot driven, I feel like the characters are well done in how consistent they are, and it does feel like it's a story of what they are going through, as opposed to the story of the things going around them, and they just happen to be telling us the story because they're there.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that ending tilts me so fucking hard.
Because like if you look at something like Thunderbolt, which is something like very small, very concise, and it's just like a simple event, but it focuses inner focuses on these characters and their kind of strifes in this situation. So they push that plot forward.
Okay.
Even though that plot itself is actually, in all honesty, pretty insignificant to the entire universe of it.
Okay.
But it's a very just character-driven, just war story, which I think some of the best Gundam series are that, where there's these events that in otherwise would feel very insignificant, almost saying that the plot itself is insignificant, like in the sense that the overarching of it, but these characters and their experiences and what they go through is the big thing.
It's the main key.
Is the main key.
Yeah.
And so you see that a lot in those as well. But that's something I do appreciate in any show, and that's why I do appreciate the writing and the character aspects of that one in particular.
So going back to Danmachi,
yes.
What did you think about Sword Art Toria?
I like it. It's very different from what the original story is trying to push, but it should be.
It's different characters.
Yeah, it's different characters. They have different philosophies. They have different goals. They have different situations that they're fighting through simultaneously to what Bell is going through. And it's really interesting to see all the strife that they have to go through.
I do like how
it should be very different.
Yeah, I do like how they kind of showed this is what was happening during this time where he was off.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's always great. And something else. Oh, sorry.
Instead of just doing like a flashback.
And something else that I like about it too is obviously Bell is very limited by his status.
Yeah.
And so, well, yes, obviously. But if you're going through the beginning of Danmachi, right? He is very limited by his status, and even then, even further along, he's still fairly limited in certain aspects, right? As far as information and stuff is concerned.
Especially in the latest English edition that came out, which is
11.
Book 11, yeah. You'll find out when you get to that, but you feel that in that one, yeah.
Exactly. So, and I mean, and it does happen. But if you look at the Sword Oratoria side, it's like it focuses on a family that obviously has a lot more political power.
Yeah.
So even if there could be certain things that they don't know about or they're unaware of, they're a lot more aware of other situations in the entire infrastructure.
And they also, since they're one of the top two familias, they also have like all this power just behind them.
Yeah,
because, like,
exactly.
Because in book 10, you get a glimpse of that when Aiz just comes in and just fucks up the Minotaur, and it's just like, damn, everyone else was getting their asses beat, and she
Yeah.
just comes in and just manhandles this thing. All right.
So it should have a very different feel to it than
Oh, yeah.
than Belle's up and coming story, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which is good.
Yeah,
Which is
that's
good.
nice.
Which is why I enjoy
I still
it
haven't
for
seen
what
the
it is.
final episode of the thing. Like the
You're not
show.
finished shows?
The show was airing at the same time that we were prepping to go to Anime Expo.
Yeah, that's right.
Like 2
Yeah.
years ago, and that last episode was airing while Anime Expo was going on. And they asked you, "Hey, who's seen the last episode?" Motherfucker, I'm here. What do you mean, who's seen the last episode? Of course,
you
I didn't
see
see
it?
it. I'm here. And then since then, I've just been so distracted with everything else that I just.
They just never gone back to it.
No. I'll get back to it though. I plan on reading those books though because they seem pretty interesting in what I was going through.
But yeah,
Also, because we get to see Fells have a bit more of an active role.
you do see a little more in these
Recent
newer-
novels,
recent ones.
But
yeah,
then because it's the Xenos arc,
Yeah,
and it,
yeah,
Who's the god for Fells?
Uranus.
technically Oranos, but he's not in a familiar. He can't be in a familiar.
Okay.
He
So-
was.
For those
Yeah.
that don't know, Fells is a skeleton. So spoilers, surprise. And the thing with being a skeleton, he can't be in a familia because he doesn't have skin, and without the skin, he can't mark himself or get marked by the goddess or the goddesses.
Yeah, he can't level
that,
up either.
Let him
Yeah, I know
join the families. So that's why he can't level up either. He's perpetually stuck at the level that he's at the moment. But he doesn't really care.
So
No, but he serves Uranus though.
yeah,
is he bad?
No.
Okay. He just seems
Well,
he's
creepy
bad
shit.
to
Whatever.
some, depending on their
Well, yeah.
position. But objectively, I would say no. I think
Okay.
Fells
Yeah.
is a good person, especially given all the
Stuff he goes
all the
stuff he
creative,
does, yeah.
the creative hand that he had in both building the city and also establishing a lot of the political
Yep.
ways
Fells
that
or the
Fells
both. It's like both of them
Okay.
yeah,
together.
but mostly
Okay.
It
Fells
was
like
most- yeah.
Fells had such a huge hand in building a lot of the shit and planning on how everything was working out.
Yeah.
He was such a craftsman in magic. He's leagues above everyone else in terms of what they're trying to push for. Like
Yeah.
the fucking
Yeah.
gauntlets that he has that shoots out shockwaves. No one else fucking knows that shit. Everyone's like, yo, what the fuck is this? What is this wizardry? And like
Yeah, which is mostly because of his history, what he was. But
yeah.
yeah, but
Okay.
But and now it seems like he's using that I guess that mentality and those wits of him
Yeah.
instead of pushing for more, which he still has some sort of magic ingenuity to him. It seems like he's pushing that more towards a goal that he's more interested in at the moment, which I don't blame.
Okay.
which, like I said, we have side characters with their own motivations
Yeah.
that push things, and that's what makes them so great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, it sucks.
Nobody sucks in the game.
I know,
What are you
right?
talking about?
There was a time when he was useful, but
that
And then
one
Chigusa came
time.
up, and that was it.
And then she went away, and now you got Ospi.
I have a friend of mine who has 6K Iris, but he didn't try to pull for Ryu or for Asfi, and he's like, oh, who am I gonna pull for? I'm like, motherfucker, what you mean?
it's like you had two
And he's
opportunities.
like, oh, I have all this hero fauna I can't use, motherfucker. You had two big opportunities.
Good
See,
lord, dude.
my only issue with the game is it's too fast. There's just no breaks in between.
Well, it sucks more so for us because we're trying to catch up with everything going on. Whereas I feel like Japan, they're kind of feeling at a comfortable pace.
yeah,
Are they?
yeah,
'Cause,
because
I
we
mean, think
got
about it,
like shoehorned
Yeah,
into
especially
it.
because we got a lot of reruns in between that. They're like, oh yeah, I already got this. I'm not gonna worry about it. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
only need a couple pulls of this. Or
And just in scheduling, I mean, they did it very differently than they would with a normal localization of a game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you look at FGO, I think Azur Lane's been working the same way. But when they decided to run on its original release schedule,
Yeah. A little
We're-
bit faster, I think, right?
a little bit, not by much though.
No, but I know.
And then, but it was still that schedule.
Yeah.
You knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And then Danmachi was just like, we're just gonna shoehorn you guys in there with Japan
Yeah.
and hope for
It's
the
like
best.
the last swimsuit. It's like, here's your old swimsuit. And here's some new ones.
Ganbatte, good
that
luck.
are way better.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's also, I'm not going to say an issue, but I feel like every banner, it's like, here's your new character that needs to be in the meta.
it's power creep.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
It-
It's
like,
just severe power creep.
Like, that's fine to me. That's the point of the game, is you want to get something better.
yeah, it's
But
like
when
the
it's
constant
like-
motivation to keep playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it's like every half a month that there's a new banner, and there's 4 new characters that you need right away.
And one of them is like
yeah.
amazing.
Super OP. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, I just pulled for that banner. and I got that person to 5, and she's OP. Oh wait, this next character cancels out that last banner.
That's the
Thank God.
problem with jumping back into the current one and having to deal with both the reruns and the past events. I think, which is personally one of the reasons I really like FGO NA. A lot of people bitch and moan about it, like we should be in Japan's like speed and stuff. I'm like, well, if we did, most of us would miss a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like looking at Korea, sure, a lot of them still have a lot of stuff. A lot of them have wailed super hard and they've been grinding nonstop. But I don't really like that pressure of just being stressed constantly. You have to play it like that. Kind of like how Danmachi's going through right now.
Yeah.
And it's like it feels. I don't know. It feels really ignorant for a lot of people to ignore how much of an impact that has on gaming overall. Like all the people that tell you, like all my autistic friends that say grinding is fun. Fuck you. No, grinding is not fun. Grinding is a pain in the ass. It's a means to get to the fun part.
Yeah.
But no, grinding itself is not fun. And if we got pushed onto a schedule where we had to grind really that hard, it would be not fun. Especially because it'd be not fun moment after not fun moment after not fun moment after one good moment, not fun moment. And it's just like, fuck, I don't want to handle all of this.
So I do like that. I do like that they went back, because it would suck so bad just to be shoehorned in and just be like, but there was characters back there that I really,
it's also really good, in my opinion, to know what's coming up safely.
Oh yeah.
So I can plan ahead and be like, can I comfortably get this? No. Okay, I'm gonna skip it. Can I comfortably get this? No. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. Ooh, I want this. I'm gonna save up for that.
That is nice. I mean, obviously Japan didn't experience that, but for us, yes.
Yeah, but then
nice.
they're going through the comfortable pace of it.
Yes, exactly.
They have time to build up whatever currency they need.
Yeah.
But whereas us, it's like, what? You have 1,000 iris, but you want something that costs 2,000. Oh, you want me to whale $40 for 1,000 iris?
No, thank you, mate.
For a chance of getting something I don't want. No, thank you. Well, the worst, it's like you need 5, no matter what.
Depends. Like with sure, you benefit a lot from 5, but a lot of them only need like 1 or 2. Like looking at waiver, you only need the 1.
Oh no, I mean for Danmachi.
Oh, Danmachi.
Oh, Danmachi.
Fate. I love Fate's gameplay.
No, but yeah, Danmachi, you need the 5. Like
I
have
5,
Bell at 4, and I feel like he does nothing.
Yeah.
At 5 is when he starts hitting like a fucking truck. But until then, it's like, well, he's just kind of there.
It's like, thank goodness, 4 is weak.
So they that's one thing. I feel like with the assist, that's not as prevalent.
Even though
it's like it's
they're
nice.
It seems like they're like depriving us more from the assist, even though like I don't know. In my perspective, it seemed like they're trying to say like the assists are really good, but you're really rare. I'm like, oh, okay, well
it's
I care
a lower
more.
percent chance, and like if you want a bond for it, it's a cost more whatever currency you need.
Yeah, and then like, okay.
But at the same time, I feel like with assists, you can do so much more. With just like, let's say you had the single one or whatever. So.
Yeah. But when you do get a bond 5, it's like T or Chloe.
Oh, it helps. It helps massively. It's a massive help, but it doesn't fully hinder you.
No.
If you don't have it all the way up to 5, like a 5 bond adventure or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think it is because it's more. A lot of assists are just like counter sleep, counter poison, counter this. It's more just like stopping things. It's not like T boosts attack.
Yeah.
Chloe stops attacks. It's like something that's useful.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's other ones that are just
they are useful for their own purposes, but
yeah. I feel like most of the metas are like, let me boost this, and here's an extra heal.
Yeah. So I kind of do like that aspect of FGO, but then because of that, their gacha rates are different.
Well, FGO, the chances are 1% difference, I think.
But that again, 1% makes so much of a difference.
Another
on
thing
a
to consider,
scale.
though, is that it was an older game.
Yeah.
And they're really stringent on how they're keeping everything consistent, I guess.
Yes,
yeah.
That makes sense.
When a lot of these newer games, like looking at Overlord with a 7% SSR.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But, but yeah.
You also have to think, so you got FGO, you only need 1 character. So your chances are, a little bit low or a little bit higher, right? Is FGO higher than Danmachi?
No.
Also, it's the other way around.
Danmachi's
but then
higher.
another thing to consider, FGO was an older game.
Yeah.
So it didn't have anything else to compare itself to. And like, well, we don't know how other people feel about this, so we'll just go with this low percentage. And everyone's like, well, a lot of people have been bitching and moaning about that. I don't want that. So let's bump the number up a little bit.
Yeah.
So they have a higher chance of getting it.
Well, also in Danmachi, as I said, you need 5, but they also have each banner gives you 1, 4, 7, and 10 a guaranteed.
Yeah.
Not
So-
each of them. Some of them
Which is
vary,
nice.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
then
it's
you get
nice.
shittier
That
banners.
is nice.
Yeah. So it's like at least you can get your JPEG or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got the skin.
I really
guess.
appreciate that safety net that they have for your pull, so you don't feel like it's as much of a loss as
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
would to invest in FGO.
But the problem is, I feel like if FGO did it, it would be more hindrance to them than to.
I don't think so, to be honest. I feel like there will still be enough of us to be like, hey, now that we know there's some sort of a safety net, now there's more motivation to keep
Yeah.
pulling to
Yeah.
try to see if we can get something else with I guess a lower risk
Yeah.
at us. And then at the same time, oh fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Fuck me.
Well,
But
I can see
well,
them doing like a guaranteed, like after your 5th or 6th pull, because if they do a guaranteed first pull, that you're gonna get like
even at least a guarantee
an SR or
like,
SSR.
even just SR guarantees. would
Yeah,
be
that's what I'm
nice.
saying.
But the other thing that's weird about like how FGO does it is so your chances to get these higher powered characters are lower,
Yeah,
but the game doesn't give two shits whether
No.
you get them or not. It's like
yeah.
it's just like, oh, you didn't get these characters, well,
yeah. You don't
fuck
have
you.
5 SSRs.
Like, there's a
Good
friend of
luck
mine-
beating it.
There's a friend of mine who blew 1,000 Saint Courts
Yeah.
and only got one copy of a recent Scortoria that
Yeah.
came out. Whereas, like for me and a couple others, like I blew like a little less than 500
Yeah.
Saint Courts, and I got 4 SSRs.
Yeah,
Given 2 of them
Yeah.
were the ones that I wanted, and 2 other ones were the ones that I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
needed. So I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean those
It's all-
those
it's-
rates. Oh, sorry.
it's complete luck.
Oh, obviously
Yeah.
it's RNG, right?
Mhm.
But it's like the game functions in a way like gameplay wise,
Yeah,
where it's like it has really low RNG,
but you need high power.
but you need high power to get through late. Well, you can get through later things with lower powered stuff, but
Because
you're in for
are valuable.
you're-
2 stars are valuable. They
No.
are, but no one wants to fucking play those just
Yeah.
because they
You're
have
in-
to and have no choice.
you're
Well,
in for a really rough time.
I played the game for a year, and I paid for one, and I drew one. In a whole year, that's all I got.
In a year, I drew 15 unique SSRs, and with bonds, I pulled 19 total, including some of the the 2 guaranteed ones that I bought.
See, I have one guaranteed with a bond, and I had one other.
Well, technically 3 of them were guaranteed, but like in the first guaranteed banner, I pulled 2 SSRs, but one of them
Yeah.
wasn't guaranteed. So I don't know. That's-
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
get that
you-
weird, funky thing. I'd almost consider it separate, like one guaranteed and one.
Yeah, because the other one,
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
other one actually still function under the same probability rules.
Yeah,
It's not like that
So
that changed
That's
anything.
basically the reason why I gave up. I'm like, if I'm not pulling stuff, and if the game's gonna get harder, it's
yeah, it's motivating as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that's that issue.
That's
with
why I
that
almost
one.
quit Danmachi, to be honest, with the whole power creep and the feeling
Oh.
of dread that came with having the farm, having nothing to farm for, and it's like, well,
Well, at this
lost
point,
all these banners.
it's like you have to lose 2 banners. Hopefully, nothing super important was in those banners. Spend it on the 3rd banner, all you have, and then skip 2 banners.
And hope that the banner after that one you didn't pull was the one. You
Yeah.
know, was the crazy one.
You're like, I gotta save up all this Iris, use it all, and then pray to God that everything's shit from here on in until you get enough.
Which makes me a little worried about Halloween, because that bell is really
oh
good,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's most likely going to be a new banner that comes out.
Oh,
So
with
it's like,
something
is
better.
it worth investing into the old bell to?
Well, it's like the Seer in the first swimsuit, the 15% magic redux is really good, but then the second banner you have all the cancellations
Yeah.
for magic and strength. So you're like, oh, I guess this was the banner I should have pulled for.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the issue too. Like, because we were shoehorned in, you have things that were good or were in a meta
Yeah.
to Japan, but because they're trying to balance out whatever meta Japan had, we're just like, oh, okay.
Fuck us, I guess. We didn't. This thing's getting nerfed. We didn't even get to that, but okay.
But-
nice to know it's
but-
nerfed.
But I guess that's nerfed. Thank you guys.
There was there one time.
Thanks for fixing that problem that we didn't know we had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I also really don't like having Crunchyroll as the publisher for
Yeah.
not just in the sense of, oh, we miss touching our girls. Sure, that sucks, but
Yeah.
like their interactions.
well-
I fucking
Well,
hate them.
Crunchyroll is
But
now
that-
owned by somebody else. So it's AT&T now owns it.
Oh yeah,
EFE.
AT&T owns them now. But
They own Verb too.
that just happens with localization in general, though. I mean, it's like who's the one who does all Nintendo's localizations? I don't remember, but that company does the same thing. So it just happens every time something from Japan comes over to the U.S. But sadly, it's just
Yeah.
that's just its own little weird.
I'd rather learn Korean before I learn Moon Runes, honestly.
so true. It's so hard.
Especially because the alphabet's so much fucking easier to learn.
Of course it is, because it's smaller.
Yeah.
You don't have 500
and
characters.
also given like our Hispanic background, Eddie, we're usually kind of pronouncing everything as it goes too. So like it's a lot of the pronunciations are easier for people with some sort of a Spanish background to kind of pick up. At least from what I've been reading.
Yes, I don't know. It's weird because they're both Japanese runs that way as well.
Right.
Because if you were to read, I mean, if it was written in the Roman alphabet, right?
I guess I should clarify. I wasn't necessarily comparing the two of those.
Oh, okay.
As much as I meant just easier, easier for us in general to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because both of those languages probably aren't as bad as something like very phonetically like dependent as like Chinese, where if you pronounce like one syllable wrong, it's a completely
Like
different
whoa.
word. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, that does help. But if we're gonna talk like alphabetically, yeah, Japanese is probably the most complicated of all of them. Just because they're like, we're gonna take this, we're gonna take the Chinese stuff that they have, and we're just gonna add so much more because we're just so much more. We're just better. We're just more intense. I guess. And not only we're gonna have that one, but we're gonna make 2 more alphabets just cause.
Could be worse.
Fun,
be the U.S.
Fun memes
where nothing sounds the way it's spelled.
Well, that's just English in general, mate.
That's English. And
No, that's what I meant,
thanking most of the fucking British for that. But pterodactyl. Never forget. Never forgive.
That's what happens when you have a hybrid language made up of 4 languages that have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
And just
let's cram everything
spitballing
we
it
can
together, and then having one period of time where you have like one man that adds like 2,000 words to the language just because he thought they sounded cool.
Here are these Latin-based rules for this Germanic style of language. It's like
with a little taste of a language that no one knows or has heard of in the form of Celtic.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that's fair. Fuck me.
Yeah, exactly. But so no, it's not as well, I guess, organized as some other older based languages. But
going back to Danmachi, I'm really interested in the movie coming out and also the new series coming out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the next arc is pretty spicy.
It's great. Oh, I'm so excited. But that'll be the season.
Mm-hmm.
That'll definitely be the season. Which is why I'm very interested to see where they put in the movie.
Yeah.
Does the movie come before?
Yeah, the movie comes out. The movie comes out before.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like the movie's also going to be like kind of like what they did with the anniversary story in game, where
Yeah,
it's just like a standalone
Side
arc
stuff,
in the middle of somewhere of all of that.
Because it looks like it's a completely different thing with completely new characters that haven't been introduced yet.
Which is also a bit
really?
interesting when you think about it, because like in the books they don't reference any of these events that come up and shit. Like you'd think they would have mentioned the fucking behemoth that they killed that like wiped out a good chunk of land and in its fertility. But then like later on they're like, oh yeah, don't worry about it.
It's weird because when the writer wrote that for the anniversary event, he's even said it's something I wanted to put in. But I felt like it would throw the pacing, the pacing of the overarching story like way out there.
Right.
So he just didn't do it, and he decided he was just gonna play with it in the game. So where it falls on that timeline, I mean, you could guess depending on some character interactions and stuff where that would fall. But even then, I almost feel like he treated it as its own standalone thing. So with this, which is what makes it interesting for like this film. Because you also have to ask that question, like where it fits in. Because even some character interactions might be a little different. What they know of each other might be different, and so these influences that come from the source material might be completely moved around in places, and it's hard to place it.
Referencing the Behemoth arc, there was a lot of references to the war game that they fought with Apollo.
Yeah,
and at the same time, Mikoto wasn't in the family yet, and she didn't move in with them yet. So it's like, so did they do the war game or not? Because you referenced it, but like it's.
It was a really weird, way that turned out. But I think it was just one of those things, like this happened in an alternate universe kind of deal.
I guess
the entire Nasu idea when they asked him what consists of fake canon, he's like, it's all fake canon. It's just all in alternate universes and timelines.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, thanks, dude. Continuity.
So it's probably one of those things.
Yeah, I feel you.
But I am excited. It looks good.
Yeah, especially because the character designs for the new characters being added to the movie are gorgeous.
They're great.
I can't wait.
I'm very excited.
Can't wait for that banner.
right?
Yeah,
the
'cause
banner,
it's
the banner
bound-
I can't wait for the fucking Xenos. If they add my fucking boys, I just want Leto. That's it. I just want Leto in the fucking game.
I want Vine,
Haruhime.
but you know, Haruhime is another one. that
If
I
I can
want.
get Haruhime and Leto in the game, that's it. I'm good. I'm set.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen until second season rolls around, and even then,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think the Xenos would be third if
Yeah,
it gets to that.
'cause
I
that's
think
a
it would because it seems like that match is getting like this huge wave of support. Just
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Like,
Very
at first,
recently.
it seemed like there was just the constant wave, but
Yeah.
then it just started like snowballing. You know, it's pretty decent.
It's a really big thing now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. Kind of like the one thing we should probably talk about to finish this off. Overlord.
Yeah.
Yep. That's another one, right?
Yeah, top selling light novel, baby.
Yep.
Get fucked.
Buddy. And I'm excited. This week was good, but it's gonna be better, and
This
it makes
week
me
was
very
okay.
makes
One of
me
the
very
There's a
things
excited.
build up.
One of the things I've really appreciated, I told Forrest this earlier, but like in the light novels, during this moment of where everything's going on,
Yeah.
it's a little wonky as to when everything is going on. Because if I remember correctly,
Oh, okay.
the current arc that we're going into right now with the tomb exploration happens before the thing at the Carne village. So it's interesting to see
Oh, okay.
that the Ains and the Nazarick followers having their day off was simultaneous to the Carne village happenings, and all
Okay.
that prefaces the fucking the tomb exploration.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I do like that. So they kind of shifted around the order a
Yeah.
little bit.
And it kind of made a little bit more sense. Like the rest of us could have put in like there was some that for sure knew like, oh, this is how, because it makes sense. But like for me, it was like it's a little wonky. Like it doesn't necessarily say exactly when it's going on. We can just assume. But
Well, I mean, when you have like a series like that gives you no really like very official indication of time,
yeah,
that some of that stuff blends together. It's like you watch some shows sometimes and you'll have like the same effect where it doesn't really tell you, and then they're like, oh, that was a year ago, and you're just like, wait,
Time
yeah.
jump,
Like the
yeah.
current arc that we're on, well, the current volume the latest one that I should say that was out. Between that one and the book prior, it was a month that happened in between that. The first part happened all in the month. Like it was like towards the end of fall,
Yeah.
and where we're at right now, it mentions somewhere in the middle that's like, hey, so now it's the winter, now it's kind of snowing and it's kind of cold type of thing, and we're almost getting close to spring type of thing. It's like, oh, okay, so it's been at least a month to a couple months, in
Yeah.
regards to how much that is. But yeah, typically there's no like point of reference. It's just like, okay,
No, it's just like all this stuff happens, and you're not really sure in what time, but you're like, cool. But
yeah, which I'm okay with, to be honest, because like if to me the counter argument to that was like showcased was how the Lord of the Rings was handled. Like, and there was walking, and there was walking, and there was months, and there was years, and they're just walking. Like, I don't need to see this. Just fucking throw me the events already.
you know what's fun? Did you know all the events Lord of the Rings takes place in 1 year?
Spicy.
Yep.
You could have told me like if you told me it was a span of like 4 years, I'd believe it.
I
Yeah.
know you would, but it's in the span of a year. It even says it in the last movie, but
It's fast.
it goes by pretty quickly in comparison. But
Spicy.
yeah. So I mean, but yeah, I don't mind it. Like I said, it's not like a super big thing. It's just interesting to me. Like if they're moving around stuff like that, that means just time is a little bit more fluid in how they can move things around with how the story was presented.
Did you guys have any impressions of the recent episode of Overlord that came out? Like anything that stuck out to you, or anything that
I just know next
your interesting
episode is going to be
develops.
amazing.
I mean, this is something we've probably said before, but I do like how they treat other characters. Like, even though you know
The
they're
background ones.
yeah, you know,
like
in this case, you know they're gonna it's gonna
They
suck.
don't say shit.
like for instance in this arc in particular, a lot of people are zeroing in on Archie, the blonde haired
Yeah,
caster, the high tier third tier magic user.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
god,
Damn.
yeah.
That sounds not good.
so good.
I still think it's funny too because you have these people with like certain god complexes to them because you're like, I am the best in my field that I know of, and then they meet all this like other stuff and they're just like, you watch as they have their existentialist crisis.
Which are two big ones that are going to happen this season are going to come from Jursiv, the blonde emperor,
Yeah.
and his magic assistant,
Yeah.
Fluter, who a lot of people are hyping up. He's like the next some sage. He's like a 6th-tier magic user and shit. And like the way he carries himself in the aura is like, look at this smug bitch.
Yep.
He don't know.
He don't know. He don't know what
He can't even convert a fucking Death Knight.
Yep.
Aang just summons them just like nothing.
They're like low tier fodder.
which I feel was a little thing that was something that was missed out on quite a lot during the Lizardman arc, because I mentioned it
yeah.
beforehand. They panic when the fucking the flying messengers come up and tell us, you guys have 7 days to die.
Yeah.
They're just slapping their heads against the walls like, what is this, what's happening? But like the fact that they didn't show that just takes away a little bit of that impact from that point.
Awe, yeah. And so I'm excited to see how these characters. It's always the best thing, you see these characters and you're just like, I'm excited to see what happens to your poor souls.
They're gonna win, I think.
Yes.
I haven't read the books, but that's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yes. That's exactly how that's going to turn out for us.
Well, they're just going to a tomb. Everything's dead already. How hard can it be?
True. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Something that's interesting to me though is I don't particularly remember how they came about finding out about the tomb, or how they exactly found out, because if I remember correctly, Mare was using a lot of spells to make a lot of mountains and a lot of hills covering it, so it wouldn't look like it.
Okay. So yes, I get that. So in the show, it says that they're contracted to go in there and look for it, right? Like all these adventures are contracted by this count.
Yeah, but I can't tell like if the count was someone that Ainz or Momonga was walking up like, hey, there's this thing over here, you should hire some people to go in there and explore, or if it was something that's like, oh shit, where is this from, and they just kind of stumbled upon. I don't. Well, it might be a little bit of both, because by the way Ainz kind of phrases it out of his whole, like, especially the way it's framed in that particular episode, which I don't really know how the original source material did it, but like it's framed in a way that makes it seem like it's all going according to plan.
Yeah. That's how I understood it.
So like it's all set up.
It might be like him just kind of testing the defenses of.
I mean, there's that, and well, like I said, I really don't know what comes after it. I mean, speculation wise on my end, it almost feels like it's just part of a larger scheme that they came up with, and that's just kind of like a first little test of showing these strong people, because that's what it seems like, and I mean that's the way it's framed, so that's the way I'm taking it. Like I said, I don't really know how the source material handled it, but as far as like the episode structure is concerned, and from the way he interacts with the adventurers, like at the end of the episode and everything, it sounds like it's all very deliberate. Like this is an experiment, or this is just according to whatever plan we came up with.
Right. And
even with the way he asked the question at the end, it's very like, well, you guys basically volunteer for it, so I don't feel bad.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know. That's just how I see it.
Yeah,
I can see that.
But yeah, it's good stuff. I'm excited. Excited for this next week.
Excited for you guys to meet Best Boy. He's a couple of people are gonna stumble across a certain thing and end up somewhere else because of that, and they're gonna run into a room filled with nothing but Best Boy and his friends. And Best.
Oh, I know who it is. I remember now. Okay, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. New characters are always fun, especially Nazareth characters. But yeah, so like I said, I'm excited for that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably also a good place to end us off. Right?
Yep.
Excited for the next one and talk a little bit more about other stuff in the future. Cool beans. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. If somehow you've listened to the end of this, thank you. Thank you, Jaden.
Sorry.
Thank you, Jaden.
I hope I didn't fully insult you earlier, but thank you if you made it.
Even though Log Horizon is ass.
Thank you.
Never forget this.
Thank you if you made it this far. And thank you for anyone else who's made it this far. And
thank you if you share it.
Yes, thank you if you share it.
If you don't share it, screw you.
Sure. But yeah, thank you. If you find us, share it. Share us to the world, so we can be ridiculed. But yeah, thank you. And that's where we're just gonna end this episode. And bye.